Sivaya Nama, Tiruchitrambalam. Welcome back to our discussion on the 9th Thirumurai. By Lord Shiva's grace, we have already concluded 19 Thirupadigams and today he is blessing us with the 20th Thirupadigam. 20th Thirupadigam is written to the place called as Thillai. This is also written by a saint who is considered to be a king from the Chola dynasty, and his name is Kandaradhithar. In Saivite tradition, without any adjective, when we say temple, it represents only Thillai, which is Chidambaram right now, the place where the cosmic dancer is performing the dance. So it is written to this particular place called as Thillai, and the verse goes this way, Tiruchitrambalam. Minnaar Uruvam மேல் விளங்க வெண்கொடி மாளிகை சோழ பொன்னார் குன்றம் ஒன்று வந்து நின்றது போலும் என்னா தென்னா என்று வண்டு பாடும் தென்தில்லை அம்பலத்துள் என்னாராமுதை எங்கள் கோவை என்று கொல்லீதுவதே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். In this particular verse, the author, the saint, who is the king, says, this place called Thillai is filled with all high raised tall buildings, and in that buildings there are a lot of white flags that is waving, which represents sattvic characteristics. We all know that. So white represents sattvic, which means the entire place is filled with peace, and whatever is heavenly approaches, all those are there. And in this place, Lord Shiva is there, as if there is a golden mountain which resides in this place. One thing we have to remember is Kandaradhithar Chola's ancestors were the ones who made the entire Thillai temple to be made out of gold, and they were the ones, and this particular Padigam comes as a proof from his own words itself. And when this place is as in Lord Shiva is considered to be in the form of a golden mountain, and the entire place is filled with a lot of orchards and gardens filled with flowers. Honey bees are coming around the flowers here, and the noise that is coming from the honey bees are considered to be a music. It's as if they are singing songs. And in this place called as Thillai, when will I go and worship Lord Shiva? This is how the verse concludes. One thing we need to understand is the author is actually in the place called as Thillai. And when he is standing there and when he says, when will I go and worship, it means he is representing something beyond what we are able to see with our eyes, isn't it? So how we should look at this is, it's more towards yoga. The entire verse comes in as a form of yoga. So when we sit in yoga meditation, what happens to this body is we are filled with sattvic characters, which means Rajasam and Tamasam will be gone away from us, and we will be filled with the entire body will have a oneness with the God. That is when we will start realizing that Lord Shiva, who's not outside, who's inside us, and he comes in as if like a lightning, he's within us. Once we start understanding that, that is where we will start to hear all the divine sounds and music, because when we talk about the gardens and orchards, it's not something to be searched outside, rather it is within us. That kind of a meditative state is what is being discussed here, because he says, when will I go and worship Lord Shiva? So it's not that when you are going there physically, but you need to visit Lord Shiva, or rather Lord Shiva has to visit us wherever we are in the meditative state. He is within us even now, even this minute, but the problem is we are not able to relate. So what we have to do is, get our body and mind into the state. We need to tune our mind into that state of consciousness that we are able to relate Lord Shiva's dance. That is what this particular verse, the first verse, talks about. One thing we have to understand is there are few verses that is being said. In ancient Tamil tradition, they say when someone is born in Thiruvarur, they get mukti. Someone who dies in Kashi gets mukti. Someone who lives in Kanji gets mukti. Someone who visits Thillai gets mukti. But someone who just thinks about Annamalai, Thiruvannamalai, we get mukti. That is what the ancient traditional saying goes, which is also said as the moment you visit Thillai, not physically but within our Olakka Mandapam, which is between our eyebrows, the place is called as Olakka Mandapam, and when you are able to see Lord Shiva dancing there, that is what mukti is all about. And the second verse, the verse goes this way, Chidambaram. Ova mutti anju velvi arangam nan marayor Ave padupar andanalar ஆகுதி வேட்டுயர்வார் மூவாயிரவர் தங்களோடு முன்னரங்கேறி நின்ற கோவே உந்தன் கூத்து காண கூடுவது என்று கோலோ. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Today's verse talks about Lord Shiva performing the cosmic dance in the place called as Thillai. And why is he performing this dance? Because for people who are worshipping him in the interest of this world, someone who is considered to be a well-wisher for this entire world, someone who is performing the yajnas and pujas without any excuses and helping out the lives or the souls that is there in this planet and elsewhere. Whoever is helping them, whoever is wishing for their best of best, and whoever is worshipping Lord Shiva to give them the blessings, they are all called as Andanar. Andanar is known to be the priest community. Not everyone is a priest, belongs to a priest community. Someone who is a well-wisher for the entire souls, they are called as the priest. They only have the eligibility to be called as priests because they need to worship Lord Shiva to give the blessings for the entire world. So here the priests are praying with the help of 3 types of fire and the 4 types of Vedas and 5 types of heavens and 6 types of Vedic attributes. When they are performing this, they also perform all the necessary pujas to Lord Shiva who is there in Thillai. So, in order to give them the blessings, Lord Shiva is dancing for them. And the author here, who is the king, asks Lord Shiva, when are you going to dance for me? You are dancing for the 3,000 priests who are living in Thillai. When are you going to dance for me? This is a question not only raised by the king. I am sure this is a question, underlying question in all of our minds as well, because we should also be longing to see his dance, not outside but within us. The 3 types of fire is not outside, it is within us, which is what we call it as triple warmer. The 5 types of worldly heavens are not outside, rather when we sit for meditation, when we chant mantras, when we do our duty without any expectations, all these are considered to be the heavens. And when we do this in the right time, when we do this in the right attitude and the right mindset, that is called as a puja, and Lord Shiva will dance within us which is basically the Olakka Mandapam that we were talking about. He will dance within us without, when we are doing our actions without any expectations. And the third verse, the verse goes this way, Tiruchitrambalam. முத்தியாள நான் மறையர் மூவாயிரவர் நின்னோடு ஒத்தே வாழும் தன்மையாளர் ஓதிய நான் மறையை தேத்தே என்று வண்டு பாடும் தென் தில்லை அம்பலத்துள் அத்தா உந்தன் ஆடல் காண அணைவதும் என்று கோலோ. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Today's verse talks about how equal Lord Shiva is considered to be with human beings. It seems there is a Purana called as Koil Puranam, and in that they say the 3,000 priests who are working there and Lord Shiva who is there in Thillai are one and the same. So, when they were counting in one of the circumstances, they had only 2,999 of them and one person was missing. When they were asking about it, Lord Shiva said that he is the 3,000, the last person, as in the 3,000th person in among that particular team. So that is why in this verse they say Lord Shiva is considered to be equal and he is part or one among the team. And we all know a parrot can usually repeat whatever we teach it. But in this verse they say even the bees which is living around in that area is constantly hearing all the Vedas, and because of that the bees are able to recite Veda. In this place it is so auspicious, it is so it's filled with all the rituals and everything. So Lord Shiva resides there and he is dancing as a cosmic dancer in this particular place. So Lord Shiva is dancing there, and when am I going to see or witness this dance is what the author is trying to ask, which is once we are able to also recite again and again and again about Lord Shiva, his mantras, Thirumurais or Vedas, when we start reciting that continuously and in the thought of Lord Shiva, that is where he will come and dance within us. He is already dancing, just that we are not able to realize it. Once we are able to realize it, because of the maturity that we are going to get, that is what the state is being spoken about in verse number 3. And the fourth verse, the verse goes this way, Tiruchitrambalam. மானை புரையும் மடமென் நோக்கி மாமலையாளோடும் ஆனஞ்சாடும் சென்னி மேலோர் அம்புலி சூடும் மரன் தேனை பாலை தில்லை மல்கு செம்பொனின் அம்பலத்து கோனை ஞான கொழுந்து தன்னை கூடுவது என்று கோலோ. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Today's verse talks about Lord Shiva in the form of, who is in the form of a cosmic dancer. In this verse, the author talks about, the saint talks about it in the form of Shivlinga, which is what is a word here. The representation of Shivlinga is called as Jnana Kolundu. Kolundu means in Tamil, it means the tender leaves that we see in a mango tree, which is so beautiful in color, which is not the green color but a little bit reddish in color. Same ways, when you see a neem tree, the tender leaves that is coming out is also going to be in this color, because we all know Lord Shiva is in the form of red color. So here we are talking about Lord Shiva in the form of a Jnana Kolundu, which is represented in the form of Shivlinga. That is what we are able to see in the other, all the 7 Tirupadigams, Thirumurai, all the way from Kazhippallayar, Upper Thirunjana Sambandar, Thirunavukarasar, as well as Nambi Arurar. They have been using the word Sivakolundu, Jnana Kolundu in various places to represent Lord Shiva in the form of Ilinga. Not only that, in the 12th Thirumurai, we are also able to see this particular concept. We are able to see that Lord Shiva is represented in the form of Ilinga, and this Linga is called as Kolundu in Kannappa Nayanar Purana as well as Sakya Nayanar Purana. Anyways, when can Lord Shiva be seen as a knowledge, 100% who's going to give us knowledge? The Linga who's going to give us knowledge is only when we have surrendered ourselves completely. That is what the first two lines in this verse talks about. Lord Shiva, who is with his consort Shakti, because without Shakti, it's going to be a bit challenging for us to understand Lord Shiva. So, Lord Shiva comes in with his consort, and he is very interested in Abhishekams, and these Abhishekams are performed with the help of 5 things that we are able to get from cow. When we talk about a cow, we get milk, we get curd, we get ghee, we also get its motion as well as its urine. These 5 has to be mixed in an appropriate portion, and that becomes an antibiotic. To be honest, this, according to medicinal properties, it is an antibiotic, but there are proportions of this. Now, once we mix that, that becomes komayam, and this is going to be one of the element with which we bathe the Shivalinga. And what does this represent, and how are we going to interpret it? Imagine the cow as the soul. What we have, like milk and curd and all these, are our good karma. The way we talk about the motion and urine, as in the stools and the urine that we are able to see, those are our bad karma. What we have to do is give away our good as well as bad karmas to Lord Shiva. Only then we can start seeing the knowledge, the real knowledge, which will lead us to the blissful state. That is what verse number 4 is all about. So, all we have to do is, externally when we are doing puja, we should also start our internal puja, which we call it as Aga Puja, and that is performed using our own karmas and our own all the negativities and the positive characters, whatever we are proud of, whatever we feel inferior about, just give away everything to Lord Shiva so that we become neutral. We need to get into a witness attitude. That is what verse number 4 is all about. And the 5th verse, the verse goes this way, Chidambaram. Kalivanulagil gangai nangai kadalani arul endre ஒளிமால் முன்னே வரம் கிடக்க உன்னடியார் கருளும் தெளிவாரமுதே தில்லை மல்கு செம்பொனின் அம்பலத்துள் ஒளிவான் சுடரே உன்னை நாயின் உருவதும் என்று கோலோ. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Today's verse is so beautifully defining the love that Lord Shiva has on his devotees. Imagine we are all struggling to get the affection and love of Lord Shiva. Same ways, Devas are also doing that. Devas, all the Devas are also struggling to achieve Lord Shiva's love. But what Lord Shiva is doing is, he is just neglecting them because he knows that is not reality, that is not the truth. And what he does is, he comes and embraces everyone around him who has no expectations, but they are doing the work only because of love for Lord Shiva, without any expectation. So, he is showing his grace on all the devotees, but he is just ignoring all of them. Even if they have a high caliber, Lord Shiva ignores them because when he knows that there is no sincerity, he is not acknowledging it. And Lord Shiva is taken as the lover of the Ganges. The story behind goes this way. Bhagirathan was a king who wanted to bring Ganges to the earth. When he was praying, Ganges said, sorry, if I come down, the earth cannot take on my pressure. So I won't be, I'm not willing to come. As simple as that, she rejected, because she's in the heavens, and why would someone leave the heavens and come down to earth, right? So she didn't want to come down. What Bhagirathan did was, he was desperate to bring Ganges because he wanted to get rid of all the sins of his ancestors. So he started his penance towards Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva said, okay, ask Ganges to come in and I'll take care of it. When Ganges came in with full force, Lord Shiva had to do only one simple work. He just held the Ganges, which was so fierceful, on to his hair, just a strand of his hair. And what he did was, he just let one droplet out of that as a river. We are able to see today Ganges is coming in with so much of a force. Can you imagine? It's just one drop of the actual Ganges. So we can't even imagine what will happen if the entire Ganges is coming down to earth, isn't it? That is what that is the story behind it. So since Lord Shiva was able to control her and at the same time make sure that she is not damaging the world, and similar to whatever the worldly things that we are seeing, right? Since he was able to rechannelize her, he is called as the lover for Ganges. But one thing we have to remember is, Lord Shiva has only one consort, which is Uma, Shakti. No one other than Shakti is his wife or lover. Lord Shiva is the only one who is known to be Egapatini Virathan. That is something we need to remember. Along with that, here we are also able to see Lord Shiva is ignoring all the devas but bestowing his love and blessings on the devotees. So the saint here asks, when is Lord Shiva going to bestow me with his love and affection? And the sixth verse. The verse goes this way. Chidambaram. Parur muzhudum vandireanja padanjali kaatugandan varar mulayal mangai pangan mamarayor vananga சீரால் மல்கு தில்லை செம்பொன் அம்பலத்தாடுகின்ற காரார் மிடற்றம் கண்டனாரை காண்பதும் என்று கோலோ. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Today's verse also resembles the earlier 5 verses that we have already seen. The saint is asking Lord Shiva, who is in the form of the cosmic dancer, as in, when am I going to witness your cosmic dance? I'm sure all of us have this longingness, and we all are asking this question as well. This verse goes in a very interesting manner. He says, everyone from all the worlds. Now, this we have to go on to Saiva Siddhantam to understand how many worlds are there. We all know human beings, or the beings, living beings, are classified under 3 segments. One is Sagalar, another one is Pralayagalar, and the third one is Vijnanagalar. When we say Sagalar, they have all the 3 entanglements like Anavam, Kanmam and Maya. Whereas when you talk about Pralayagalar, they don't have Maya, but they have the other 2, which is Anavam and Kanmam. When we talk about Vijnanagalar, they have only one entanglement, which is Anavam. And that too, for them, Anavam is something like a muslin cloth, whereas for us, as in Sagalar, the Anavam is something like an iron curtain. So we are able to understand how strong it is for us, whereas for them it is very, very soft, as in it is not so hard. So when we talk about these 3 beings, they all live in 3 different worlds. We call it as Sagalar lives in Prakriti Maya Bhuvanam, which is the world. When we talk about Pralayagalar, they live in Asupta Maya Bhuvanam. And the third category, which is Vijnanagalar, lives in Suddhamaya Bhuvanam. So all the worlds means Prakriti Maya, Suddha Maya and Asutta Maya. These are the three worlds. Everyone from these three worlds are worshipping Lord Shiva in the form of a cosmic dancer, and the cosmic dancer is dancing for a saint called as Patanjali. Patanjali, as we all know, he is one of the saints who gave us the Yoga Shastras. And when he is a guru in Yoga Shastra, obviously Lord Shiva would have danced for him in his Olaka Mandapam, like what we already saw. So the saint who wrote this particular Padigam is also longing for that particular state or stage where he can also be having the oneness with Lord Shiva in the form of yoga, and at that point in time he would want to witness the cosmic dance. Lord Shiva is in the place called as Thillai, as we said, Chidambaram, and he is the one who has the consort as Parvati Devi, and he lives in this place called as Thillai, which has been woven with all gold sheets. And this is the place where priests are performing their daily rituals in an uncompromising manner, and that is what verse number 6 is all about. Verse number 6 gives us an idea that once we start with our yoga, which is oneness, when we start with the oneness or to practice the oneness, we will be witnessing Lord Shiva's dance in the cosmic, as in the cosmic dance within us also. And the 7th verse, the verse goes this way, Chidambaram. இல்லையார் கதிர்வேல் இலங்கை வேந்தன் 20 தோளும் இர மலைதான் எடுத்த மற்றவர்க்கு வாளோடு நாள் கொடுத்தான் சிலையால் புறமூன்றெய்த வில்லி செம்பொனின் அம்பலத்து கலையார் மாறி பொன் கையினானை காண்பதும் இன்று கோலோ. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Today's verse talks about almost the same, it resonates with the earlier verses, as in the saint says, when am I going to witness Lord Shiva, who is the cosmic dancer and who has also bestowed his blessings on Ravanan. We all know Ravanan, who was one of the kings in Sri Lanka. He went all the way to Kailash, and when he realized Kailash was stopping his way, immediately what he wanted to do was he wanted to lift away the Mount Kailash, which he did. He wanted to do, and he started to take a lift Kailash. Immediately Lord Shiva punished him, because we all know Lord Shiva resides in Kailash. It's his home. So when someone is destroying our home, we won't be quiet, right? So Lord Shiva immediately punished him. After he got the punishment, he realized his mistake, and that is when he started singing. And we also know Lord Shiva has a big weakness for songs. So what Ravana did was he started singing Padigams, and immediately Lord Shiva he cooled down from his anger, and he wanted to bless Ravana. So he blessed with a sword, which is called as Chandrahasam, and also he was given 3 crores of days of life. Can we imagine someone who destroyed Lord Shiva's home, and yet they got such a big blessing? This implies that whatever mistakes we have done in our life, it's okay. Whatever we have done so far is okay. All we have to do is we have to repent for it, just surrender ourselves to Lord Shiva, start singing Padigams, and after that he will show his love for us. We don't have to do anything. All that we have to do is we shouldn't be repeating the same mistake again. But once we repent for our mistakes, that's it. Lord Shiva is there for us to guide us and make sure that we are elevating in this spiritual path. All we have to do is only sing Tirupadigams. Not only this, in this verse, the saint says, Lord Shiva is the one who bestowed the blessings on Ravana, and at the same time, he is the one who burnt down the 3 flying fortresses into ashes, because the 3 fortresses represents our Anavam, Kanvam and Maya. So he was the one who burnt down those to ashes. Lord Shiva, who is in the form of the cosmic dancer, is dancing in this place called as Thillai. When will I go and worship him? That is what verse number 7 is all about. And the 8th verse, the verse goes this way, Chidambaram. வெங்கோல் வேந்தன் தென்னன் நாடும் ஈழமும் கொண்டதிர செங்கோல் சோழன் கோழி வேந்தன் செம்பியன் பொன்னணிந்த அங்கோல் வளையார் பாடியாடும் அணிதில்லை அம்பலத்துள் எம்கோன் ஈசன் எம்மீரையை என்று கொல் ஈதுபதே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Today's verse talks about a little bit of history. The history goes this way. Chola, one of the Chola king called as Parandaka Cholan, he was the one who helped in weaving the entire terrace of Thillai or Chidambaram temple with gold. So he is called as Ponvenda Cholan. That is one of his titles also, which means he was the one who helped in weaving the entire temple with gold. And he is the one who was so successful and he was so valiant that he was able to take control of Madurai as well as then Pandya kingdom, as well as he took over the Sri Lankan kingdom, which was those days called as Uruvam. So he took charge of Uruvam as well, as in he was a very good warrior that he went to all these places, he waged a war and he took control of all those places, and he is known as Parandaka Cholan, and he was the one who helped in weaving gold for the temple. This particular place called as Thillai is a place for all everyone who is singing and dancing, as in they are submitting their dances and their songs to Lord Shiva. This is the place where Lord Shiva resides, and the saint says, when am I going to go and visit this place? When am I going to witness Lord Shiva in this place? The saint who sung this particular padigam comes in this lineage of Parandaka Cholan. That is also one of the reasons why he is so proud about this particular padigam, and we are able to see his pride when he is singing this verse. Now, one thing we have to understand is, as in whatever is applicable for today, we have seen so many kings, we have seen so many so many saints or whatever we call it, right? We have seen so many people who have been successful in this world, but are they still living in our hearts and minds? No, very few, very few. Some of them live in a negative manner, some of them live in a very positive manner. For example, Parandaka Cholan. Do we know what was his lineage? We don't know. Do we know what titles he won? Do we know what total assets he had? Do we know who are his kids? Do we know his family lineage? Nothing is known, but all we know is only one thing: what he did as an investment to a temple. Similar to Rajaraja Cholan, similar to Rajendra Cholan, do we still know where they lived? We don't even know where they lived, but if you look at it, they are standing tall and high in the form of temples. So, as of today, when we are trying to invest in something, we will usually call it as a prudent investment. So, we need to also analyze a prudent investment here. When I want to save something for my family, for my lineage, is this going to carry on for at least 1 or 2 generations? We don't know. We will not be aware of it. But what happens when you are investing in a temple is, it stands tall and high, and our name will also be there forever. Instead of stealing from temple and trying to save for our family, which is going to be a sin, let's do the other way. When we invest in temples, whatever we are having as a sin will be washed away. That is what we need to do. So as of today, we are calculating everything, isn't it? We need to start calculating in a very prudent manner. When we know there is a company which is going to go bankrupt, why would we want to invest in that? And that is what we are doing today. The bankruptcy companies are nothing but our relatives and our lineage. We are saving for them, but are they going to even remember us after 5 or 10 years after our death? Not really. But I'm talking about the real, when I say after our death, it's because sometimes we even say today we are giving something and the next day they come back and say, what did you do for us, right? So that is the life that we are living as of today. So are they going to even think about it after 5-10 years? We don't know. But when we are spending on temples, when we are helping out in temples, that is going to stay forever, ever, ever. That is what we are able to see in a visible manner as of today, as part of verse number 8. That is also one of the lesson that is given to us in the 9th verse. The verse goes this way, Chidambaram. நெடியானோடு நான் முகனும் வானவரும் நெருங்கி முடியால் முடிகள் மோதி உக்க முழுமணியின் திரளை அடியார் அலகினால் திரட்டும் அணிதில்லை அம்பலத்து கடியார் கொன்றை மாலை யானை காண்பதும் என்று கோலோ. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Today's verse is going to talk about one level of maturity that as a Shiva devotee we should be having. In this verse, the author says, the saint says, there are so many devas coming here and worshipping Lord Shiva. Devas like Indran, Brahman, Thirumal, they are Vishnu, which is Lord Vishnu. All of them are coming here and they are standing in front of Lord Shiva to worship him. Because of the closeness, all their the crowns are clashing amongst one another, and because of that, the gems that has been in which is there as part of their crowns have fallen down. So we can imagine the entire place is filled with precious gems, and the devotees over there, they are so concerned about the other devotees who are coming to this place that these gems should not be hurting the others. So what they are doing is they are just taking a broom and moving away all these gems and they are throwing it off. So imagine a devotee's maturity. They don't care whether it is a stone or a precious gem. According to them, it is there. If it is there, it is a waste. Because when we have the biggest precious person over there, which is Lord Shiva, what else can be precious in that place, isn't it? That is the maturity that the devotees are having. Now the next question we need to ask is, do a small self-analysis. Do we have that maturity? If we are having that maturity, we can say that we have succeeded the first step in reaching Lord Shiva's lotus feet. Right now, we are not able to see gold and a piece of slate as the same thing. It's two different things for us. We are seeing the segregation, we are seeing the value, the money value we are still able to see, which means we have not achieved that maturity yet. That is what here in this verse the saint says. Someone who is a devotee will not be bothered whether it is a simple stone or it is a precious stone. According to them, both are the same, so they will just throw it away. This is happening in the place called as Thillai, and in this place Lord Shiva is wearing a beautiful flower which is called as Kondrai, and he is the one residing in this place. And the saint says, when am I going to go and see him? When am I going to worship him? When am I going to witness the beautiful cosmic dance? That is what verse number 9 is all about. The 10th verse. The verse goes this way, Chidambaram. சீரால் மல்கு தில்லை செம்பொன் நம்பல தாடி தன்னை காரார் சோலை கோழி வேந்தன் தஞ்சையர்கோன் கலந்த ஆராயின் சொல் கண்டராதித்தன் அருந்தமிழ் மாலை வல்லார் பேரா உலகில் பெருமையோடும் பேரின்பம் இதுவரே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Today's verse is considered to be the Falashruti, which is also called as Thirukadaikappu in Tamil, which is the finale verse from the 20th Thirupadigam. This is also going to, usually the Thirukadaikappu format is to say who sung this Padigam, and because of this particular Padigam, if someone is reading this Padigam, what is the benefit they are going to get. This is going to be demonstrated as part of verse number 10. And in this, the author, the saint, says his name is Kandaradhithar, and he has sung a beautiful Thirupadigam which has a lot of meanings, and this is sung for the temple called as Thillai, and this place has a lot of beautiful gardens and orchards that it's so beautifully with a lot of flowers in it, as well as there's a lot of natural resources in this place. And this place, as we saw in the earlier verse, is also having a lot of gold as part of the temple. So we are able to see literature related or literary knowledge or educational knowledge, as well as this place is filled with what we call it as the wealth, monetary wealth and natural wealth. So this place is filled with nature, it's filled with wealth, and it is filled with education. So which means there is nothing in this place which is deficit, and this is a beautiful place with abundance, and that is the place called as Thillai. If someone is reading this Padigam, they are going to achieve or attain Lord Shiva's lotus feet. That is what verse number 10 is all about. I'll come back again with the next Thirupadigam very soon. Until then, Sivaya Nama, Tiruchitrambalam.